We are back on Sportsline, taking your phone calls tonight. Really anywhere you want to go with it. We've talked a little soccer. We've talked some hockey. We've talked some football. Talked some of these off the field things that have happened in sports here as of late. One of the big stories here, obviously, Mike Vrabel introduced as a Titans head coach. Last week we heard some of this from him, but there's more good stuff in here, and I don't think you can hear enough from a new head coach when he takes over a team just to get the glimpses of his personality and what his style is going to be, both interpersonally and also schematically. And we're going to learn more and more about that as we learn more about the hires on his staff. But I think even the introductory press conference, you get a lot from it. So here's a big chunk of the ending of Mike Vrabel's introductory press conference. And take a listen to the way he answers questions and some of the ideas he has for running a football team, which his team is now the Titans.
You've got to face the Super Bowl champions this next season one way or the other. Whether it's the Patriots or the Eagles, we're hosting both of them in this fall. Talk about your look at the schedule, if you've had a chance to look ahead.
Yeah.
Or how soon can you get this team ready to face it?
All I know is that they're all tough. That they're all tough in this league, without a doubt. Records mean nothing. There's things that I've learned in this league. Records mean nothing. This is a progress league. This league is like the Kentucky Derby. Everybody in September thought the Kansas City Chiefs were going to win the Super Bowl. They were 6-0. And what happens is you have to continue to improve. Whether you win or you lose, you have to make the corrections. You can't let things slide just because you won the game. And if you can't tolerate it, in losing, you can't tolerate it when you win. So you need to make the corrections, move on, get better, continue to develop players. Guys on your practice squad early in the season are going to be playing games for you in December. That's just how it goes. There's injuries every year. So it's important for me to improve our team each and every week, irregardless of who we're playing.
You talk about the AFC South. How much does your familiarity there help as you start off?
Yeah. It may help. I think I'm going to be able to explain to our players, like, this is this guy's skill set, this is what they do, this is how they like to use this player, so that when a guy's matching up against somebody, that he knows what this guy's style of play is, because I've scouted him, I've watched him over the course of a couple years. So, those teams are going to change too, and they may have some carryover, and they may have some things that they do differently, because every year, every head coach is looking at it the same way. How do you get to the champion? How do you win a championship? So you can't just do what you did last year. You're going to get what you got last year.
What's it like as a coach? I mean, I know you got the job, now you're ready to coach them up. Now you kind of got to be patient with the process. What's that like?
The process of not being able to coach players, it's brutal. It's the worst part of my job. The only reason I'm in this profession after winning, which is obvious, is to develop players. There's nothing greater than watching somebody practice something and try something and be creative and do something different, and then when that player finally gets it. I've seen it with my own kids, and there's no other reason that I would coach other than to win, is to watch a player improve, develop, and go out there and have success. And we've done that, and I will continue to do that.
You and John both spent a lot of time in New England, the Patriot way, so to speak.
Yeah.
Ingrained in what you do here.
We will take things. That's how we learned. That's how we shared a bunch of success there. And John and I have a relationship. But he was a scout. He was in personnel. I was a player. So we knew each other. We were friends. We didn't do anything outside of the building together. But there's certainly a relationship there. When you talk about how much of the things we'll take from New England, there will be things that I take from New England, from Pittsburgh, from Ohio State, from Houston. I mean, there'll be things that I take from everywhere. Just you draw on these experiences just like everybody else would in life, whether you were at another paper and you liked what they did or you didn't like. The nice thing is now is there's things that I didn't like that Billy did, I get to change. I get to change them. So there's things that I like that he did, I get to use them.
What's the biggest adjustment? George said you're a guy who's not afraid to challenge anyone.
Except Eddie,
How important is that in your process of development?
I just felt like, as a player and as a coach, that there's a right way and a wrong way, and a part of a leader is when you see something that's not right, you say something. You stand up for what you believe in, and this is a big boy business, and sometimes there's confrontations. They're respectful, but if I figured that I was working and I was going hard, that everybody else should as well.
What's your approach to the next week in regards to Senior Bowl practices while trying to get a staff together?
Well, up until Saturday, I was coaching in it, so I won't have to coach down there. We'll evaluate some players, and we'll begin to talk about guys that we like and guys that who stand out. It'll be fun or interesting to watch guys that I just coached with for 4 years coaching on the field. That'll be interesting, but we'll go down there for a few days, and then we'll come back here and get back to work.
What's the role you're going to have in personnel?
The role that I'm going to have in personnel is continued conversations with John. And John and I, again, there's no secret, John has the final say over 53. But if we don't agree on 1 through 52, it's not going to matter. Like, maybe we're going to have a conversation on the 53rd guy, and then John gets to pick who he thinks is the 53rd guy. But if we don't agree on 1 through 52, you probably hired the wrong guy.
From your vantage point, how have spread concepts coming in with this generation of quarterbacks changing the game? How receptive to that do you need to be on offense?
The NFL has the greatest farm system in the world. We pay our farm system coaches $10 million to develop players. Nick Saban is our farm system. Urban Meyer is our farm system. So those are the types of players that they're developing. Those are the types of players that are playing in high school. That's where the game's at. I mean, Tyler's team didn't have a tight end in the school, let alone one on the roster. And so, we're going to find those types of players. But that's where the game's at. You have to try to be creative in what you're doing. You have to cause conflict. That's what these guys are doing. They're taking great athletes and they're putting them in good positions to succeed. And so we're going to do similar things. But again, we're never going to put our quarterback in harm's way.
I heard somebody bring up Hugh Freeze as somebody you might look at as a possible offensive coordinator for this job. Would you consider somebody like Hugh Freeze to, along those lines?
I think that what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to bring in the best guys, the right guys, and whether that's Hugh Freeze or whether that's anybody else, we're not going to put a timeline on it. I'm going to try to get the best guy in here. And with respect to a lot of those coaches that have current situations, it's not fair for me to mention anybody by name.
You have versatility as a player. You caught 10 touchdown passes. How important is that to you?
I would more than that.
Who's 12?
Unless you're the starting quarterback, you better be able to play more than one position. We only get to bring 46 guys to the game. So if you are only a right guard, it's going to be really hard for you to be one of those 46 guys. And if you were only a tight end, it's going to be really hard for you to, you're going to have to play special teams. You're going to have to be in the kicking game. So the more you can do is going to help us win, and it's going to help you, help us win.
You spotted any guys on this defense who potentially could be catching touchdowns?
Well, I think Jarrell might have done it in the past. I think he might have done it. And if he can help us and he wants to go out there and I feel like it's best for the team, that's who's going to be out there. Every decision that we make is going to be with the team's best interest in mind.
There aren't a lot of linebacker head coaches, I don't think. Does that give you a vantage point? Maybe it's different than some of your colleagues?
I don't think so. This is the most competitive business in the world, right? And so because that I've played linebacker or somebody didn't, whether you played, I never try to use the fact that I played as any type of advantage when reaching a player. I try to sit there and coach him and show him the techniques that's going to help him because I know that it's an honor and it's a privilege to be a part of this league. I know how much, when you have success in this league, good things happen. Other teams want to sign you. All of a sudden, you get a big contract. Your family is taken care of for the rest of their lives. All these good things that when you win and teams win championships, it's good for everybody.
Your experience, that playing experience, and I guess the particularly recent playing experience, help you gain respect from those guys?
I don't. You'd have to ask them. But like I said, I'm going to be able to relate to any one of those players that maybe having a decent day or a bad day or a good day. I can kind of, be able to say, hey, I remember that situation, and just make sure you're careful of this, that it can change in a heartbeat. Or, hey, hang in there. I didn't start a game for 4 years in Pittsburgh. just keep getting better, keep grinding. There's, every day prove your worth and prove your value to this team, and good things will happen.
Mike, your teammate Tom Brady, obviously another Super Bowl appearance. How much do you marvel at his longevity, and what are the
If that's the last question, I would hate to have that be about Tom Brady, so I'm going to take one more question after this one. Tom is a great friend. He's an amazing competitor. It's been nothing but good to me since I played with him, or after I've played with him. What he's been able to do is nothing short of a miracle. He's highly competitive. I will gear our practices similar so that our players are practicing against each other and that are competitive against each other, because some of the most memorable practices I had as a player was going against the guy. Last question.
Were you surprised as to how fast this happened? And John, could you speak to the pace of the search? It seems like maybe this was the guy from the minute you had it open.
Me first?
Sure.
Yes. When he came in and we had a chance to sit down and talk about his vision for being the head coach of an NFL team, how he wanted to build the roster, the types of players that he thought could win in this league, it was clear to us that he was the guy for the job. He had a great presence about him in the interview. His football intelligence showed quickly, and at the end of the day, we felt like this is the next head coach of the Tennessee Titans.
That's two questions.
Maybe already started, but the process of working with Mike on the roster, what you have, and building, is that already started, and how does that go from here?
Yeah, we've already started talking through roster stuff. He obviously has some familiarity. He had a very good understanding of our roster. On the interview process, he was able to talk through the strengths and weaknesses of players on the team, and he just really had a good grasp of what this program was going to be about, and our alignment was apparent early on.
Good. Thanks, everybody.
Best to be respectful.